Let's return on day 9 of this 31-day journey into the blessed man and turn our eyes to the phrase found in Psalm 1, verse 2, reading the first 3 verses together for context. And keep in mind, our goal is to know him more, not primarily to know more about him. Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of scoffers. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law he meditates day and night. He is like a tree planted by streams of water that yields its fruit in its season, and its leaf does not wither. In all that he does, he prospers. What a journey through this little second verse as we've looked at the blessed man's passion, prosperity, polarization, practice, possessiveness, priority, preoccupation, and platform. But let's go back for another glance. Today, notice the precept of this blessed man. Look again at verse 2. But his delight is in the law of the Lord. The word is Torah, the law. Think about this. Let's make sure we understand the word. Precept means a general rule intended to regulate behavior or thought. This is fascinating. Not that all rules and laws are typically regarded as bondage or limitations, but seriously, it's not something typically delighted in. Be honest, how often do you delight in the speed limit of your nation? Maybe you think I'm taking it too far, but let's use that simple law as our case study in understanding the heart of the blessed man. There is something so eternally valuable for us to grasp. If the law is simply about obedience in order to avoid punishment, then there is little to delight in. But what if the law of the Lord, the precepts of God, are actually the pathway to intimacy and the opportunity to please him? In Psalm 119, the worshiper exclaims in verse 18, "Open my eyes that I may behold wondrous things out of your law." In verse 72, he says, "I delight in your law," and repeats that idea in 77, 113, 163, and 174. In verse 73, he says, "The law of your mouth is better to me than thousands of gold and silver pieces." And then in verse 97, "Oh, how I love thy law. It is my meditation all the day." Okay, just stop. Again, be honest. Is this you? Is this me? Probably not. So let's ask. What are we missing? Go back to speed limits. Recently, God convicted me, like intensely. He said, "Nathan, you are obeying speed limits because you recognize in Romans 13, I tell you to be subject to the governing authorities. But you're missing the point. This is not about fear, but about fellowship. I'm not saying this to you to limit you, but because I love you. Remember, I told you in my word in John 14:21, whoever has my commandments and keeps them, it is he who loves me, and he who loves me will be loved by my Father, and I will love him and will manifest myself to him. My laws are opportunities to show your love. They're not there just for your pleasure, but for your expression toward me. Wow, mind-blowing. God's law is a letter of love designed to let us respond to his heart. If it were merely about justice, we would be destroyed. But Christ, while we were dead in our sins and trespasses, against what? Against God's law. So let's go back to speed limits. Everything has changed. When I get in the car, I don't go the speed limit for fear of seeing blue lights behind me. Rather, it's an opportunity. On a country road with no one close by, with the Waze app telling me there are no police, to set the cruise on the speed limit or a couple under and just acknowledge, Lord, I love you. Okay, some of you think this is weird or just wrong. That's okay. I love you too. But seriously, when we see his heart, it's an opportunity to respond. In the Garden of Eden, God put one restriction on Adam to not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Well, why? So they could respond in a love relationship. Love requires choice. God's law brings consequence, but this is why Christ died. Even in our rebellion, his love went deeper still. The law was already a sign of God's love, but when we broke that, the gospel went further. What an awesome God we have. I'm just overwhelmed. Where are you viewing God as a forceful Lord rather than a loving Father? Where are you questioning his decisions rather than looking at his desire? What do you currently view as a restriction when he desires you to see it as an opportunity to demonstrate your love for him? There's this poem. I'm warning you, it's deep. Put on your 1700s hat. It's by William Cowper. The English is intense, but it's good. Don't miss the last verse, and don't worry, I'll skip portions. It's called Love Constrained to Obedience. How long beneath the law I lay, in bondage and distress, I toiled the precept to obey, but toiled without success. Then to abstain from outward sin was more than I could do. Now, if I feel its power within, I feel its hate too. I feel I hate it too, sorry. Then all my servile works were done, a righteousness to raise. Now freely chosen in the Son, I freely choose his ways, to see the law by Christ fulfilled, and hear his pardoning voice, changes a slave into a child, and duty into choice. What an ending. Go back if you missed it, if you fell asleep. That's good stuff. Why does he delight in the precept of God? Because it's an opportunity for intimacy. Every day, we have that same opportunity to declare our love for the one who will always love us more than we could ever even love ourselves. What a journey. Till next time, go enjoy his love by delighting in his salvation and letting his precepts be your joy.